So go ahead, Lutz. We'll give you the floor for the first opening statement.
Yeah, good afternoon. So basically, I just wanted to talk a bit upcoming window, a little bit about the misconception, I would say, about what a transfer window should look like or could look like. So I made a few notes about that as well, because obviously there is I think pretty much of a wrong view at the way things can be done, should be done, or have to be done. So number one, the timing. I think it's pretty clearly stated that there is a transfer window opens on the 5th of July and closes on the 2nd of August. And that is exactly the time frame where we're going to act, if we're going to act. We are not in a situation or not in the need that we would do any deals far ahead of time or announce them far ahead of time like other teams did. That's not what we did in the past, and we also don't want to do now. But basically the timing is very clear. If the window opens on the 5th of July and we're having a break of the MLS on the 15th of July, there is a certain timing where you need to get a registration, you need to get an ITC, you need to get a work permit if he doesn't have a passport, if it's a foreigner, whatever. So it's not that a player jumps off the plane on the 5th of July, jumps on the field on the 8th and plays a game. So it has a lot of more meaning to it to get a player ready. And as I said, if we do something, we will do it when the time is right or when the time is coming, and that will be more within the transfer window. So nothing basically surprising about that. The other thing is the numbers in the roster, and that's something which, me coming from a European country where I don't have that flexibility like I used to have in Germany. We're following a certain rule, which is MLS standard. There is 30 players in a squad, and we are not Manchester City or Bayern Munich, which can say we have 35 or 40 players. Let's just go shopping whenever we feel like it. That's also not what we did in the past, what we want to do now. So it's a clear way. There's regulations, there is numbers, there is budgets, and that's exactly the rules we're going to follow. And that's the rules we want to follow. Budgets, I think Caroline joined me as well. And I mean, that's another one, that I think the perception is as well. Open checkbook. I walk into Caroline's office and say, hey, let's buy 7 more DPs. And then she's cheering up and says, yeah, that's a beautiful thing, let's do it. It's just simply not possible. Because, number one, we don't want to waste any money. Number two, we have certain roster slots. Number three, we have a certain numbers of DPs already signed up. And we have a certain number of 10 players signed up. So budgets are not open. So we also have to follow budget rules like all the other teams. And again, we will do exactly that. We will not go into any kind of risk to reach that exact limit. So we're staying exactly within our idea and our transfer, I would call it, strategy we had from day one. It's a match day 19. We are number 1 in the league, and we're worrying right now about certain transfers we should have done, we could have done, we might do. I think it's just not the right timing. Also looking at what we spend and looking at the place where we are, to be extremely aggressive on the transfer market to see what we can improve immediately. Number 4, injuries. Every team in the MLS again has the same problem as we do, because you have only a certain numbers, and you cannot have that 17 players on an extremely high budget and 12 players a little bit lower. It's just the way the injuries coming in. There was teams before in the MLS which were top teams who had a little valley because players were out, DPs were out. Well, that happens. We do not have that flexibility to react, and again, like in the European market, to make a panic signing. And I think by now, what you probably, we're talking now since quite a long time since I'm here. I'm not the big panic guy who starts jumping if one guy gets injured or a second guy gets injured. That's something which happens in football where we have to get through with it. And, I actually put it more as a question than as an answer. If we have Klaus and Löwen, and they will be obviously back pretty soon, would it be a right thing for the club to sign 3 other Edu Löwens and 4 other Klauses? What would happen in the changing room if we would have some space? So it's all a bit about having the patience, also having especially the trust in the next man up. We managed to lose Klaus, and everybody was shocked in the start. We found a way how we can play without Klaus. We won plenty of games without Klaus. And again, I'm the happiest man when Klaus is back. But we don't need to panic on that. Now Edu Löwen is out. Obviously the captain of the engine room. He's our brain on the field. There is also no doubt about it. Took us 2 games, but again, we have figured it out that we also can win a game without Edu. And I think that's exactly what that team stands for. And I know that plenty of people all over the United States are very unhappy and agitated and annoyed when I talk about a designated team. Well, I repeat it again. That's what I believe in. That's what the ownership believes in. That's, I think, what the city of St. Louis believes in. And that's what we want to do. We do not have to sign artificially a big name to make us necessarily a better team. And football is a team sport. We have to sign a big guy, that's something which the future will tell. But right now, we're dealing with that what we have. We are active looking at the transfer market. We want to see what is strategically possible. But I think the depths of the squad or the non-depths of the squad, that's not just something which hits us. Every team gets hit by that because of limited numbers, limited budgets. Another one is like that. If you remember, one of the first things I said, I believe in homegrown players. I believe in local talent. Every single panic signing we will make closes the door for our local guys. It closes the door for a Miggy Perez. It closes the door for a Caden Glover and for many other guys which you want to pull up in the future. So again, this is what we believe in. We believe in our local talent. The boys, again, they proved it this season at MLS Next in the youth that we have a top program in the country. And I think we actually have to push that and force it to get more and more guys in instead of limit the number to get that up. And last but not least, before the questions are coming, I think I already answered 90% of them. Being competitive is still our goal. Being every weekend out there and fight and work and show our best and work hard is that what we want to do. And being competitive also means we're going to win a few more games. And so far I think we were every time out there very competitive, and other teams hate to play against us. That was also a prediction I made from day one. They will hate to play against us, and trust me, they do, because even though they don't tell me in my face, I hear it left, right and center. It's not a very nice thing to play against St. Louis. That's what we're going to keep up, and then we will see a little bit later in the season where we're going to stand. And last one, I wrote that one down. I'm not looking for a quick fix, because that's again what I would call a panic signing. We don't need a quick fix, we need a long fix. So if we're looking for somebody to sign in this transfer window, strategically a player which helps us in year 1, year 2 and year 3, and not for 3 or 4 games.
Thanks, Lutz. We'll go to questions. First we'll go to virtual Tom, then we'll go to in-person Tom number 1, and then Tom number 2.
Okay, thank you. Lutz,
John, we're going to Tom Bogert, sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Lutz, for taking the time. I know that you explained all the nuance and the context around this, but just to kind of kick things off, what is your outlook for the summer? What are the club's goals? Do you have any, clear ideas or clear thoughts going into the summer?
Yeah, I mean, we're having, not changed our basic goal, which is being competitive. I know it sounds a bit boring because I say it every single week, but it's just simply I have to tell you the truth. I don't want to lie, so that's why I keep on repeating it. Of course, being after 19 match days, being that high up, it creates a certain momentum. People are getting even more excited, and that's great because I think it actually makes our team even more motivated to reach something nobody expected from us. And remember, we had a talk about that. 14s in the West, 13s in the West, thank you very much. That's what they thought we can do. I think we will be better than 13s or 14s in the end of that. So already we exceeded that expectation. But if you are up there, we want to work hard, we want to improve step by step and see where it carries us. And when it comes to the window, when it comes to sign-ins, yeah, we are definitely always looking for improvements in our squad, but it needs to make sense on a strategical part.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you.
How important is it for you to kind of not upset the balance within this team of not not signing quote unquote big time Charlie, not signing, you have guys who make 1.5, 1.6 million, not suddenly bringing in a higher priced player.
The big time Charlie starts at 5 million, Tom. So that's numbers where we just simply have no interest in, especially at the moment. We believe in an organic growth. We believe in sustainability. I think that is the most important. And I always want to spin time a little bit back. I mean, every single one of you watched every single game, and you were basically involved in all of that. Think back when we started to play the next pro, when we had our first game. Where did everybody really see us? Where we will go? Where we will be? So it's just now the expectation somehow grew automatically with great results. But it still is important that we keep our feet on the ground, that we realize what did we spend, where did it come from, what do we go for, and I think that is the most important part for us right now. And looking at, for example, Joachim Nielsen coming soon back, that's for me, one of the best defenders in the league without any doubt. That's a brand new player for us, even though he's here since a year. He will have his debut most likely after the league's break, and we're all excited to get another absolute leader on the field, which will make us better, and which also increases the competition. And you're watching every single training session. I mean, you know how competitive these boys are. There is nobody there who believes he's second string. Sam Odinerain comes back and he bangs 2 goals in. This is which creates competitiveness within the squad, and I think we are very, very happy about that.
Top Shores.
Lutz, are you familiar with the American expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
Yeah, same as in German, just in German.
What is it? What is it in German?
Yeah, you don't change anything. Basically, you want to know it in German? Basically, you're putting it a little bit like in never change your winning team in that kind of context, correct?
Right.
Yeah, I can't agree more with you, but then again, you still want to have a lookout to make little improvements and little tweaks there and there to make things even better. But to have the massive changes, or now suddenly grow a big head and say, oh, we are number 1, now we need to push for the sky and for the limit and make exactly the panic signing. I think I'm realistic enough that won't happen. And looking over at Carolyn, I think she is even more realistic about that than I am. That, right now things are working out. We want to get better step by step, but we don't need to push for something which doesn't make any sense at this moment in time.
Santi.
Lutz, considering the budget limitations, also maintaining that designated team mentality, and the advantages the league offers about signing young players, have you guys considered the U22 options?
Always. I mean, we have a young squad, so that's something we're always looking at to get good young talents in. That's the most important agenda, and we definitely looking at it all the time. If it happens this window or next window or the third window, we will see. But the Young Initiative is a great idea by the MLS, which is also something the MLS supports it to bring young guys in. And we want to be hungry, we want to stay young. So it's definitely something we always have in mind.
Matt.
Lutz, how has some of the individual performances throughout the year so far changed what your initial thoughts at the beginning of the season were about this window versus now? And are you looking to loan out or sell on any players currently on the roster?
I think lots of the players, obviously I knew lots of the guys and most of the guys very well, so I knew what we can expect from them. But it also needs to fit a lot within the playing style, I think, which we figured out very well with the coaching team, that we maximized that one out. So I can't really, I wouldn't say it, but I can't really say it, that we are very disappointed in anybody, because I think everybody plays an important role, even the guys who haven't played that many minutes. Every day they're pushing the direct competitors to the limit, and I think that's why the team idea works out really well. Some of the players, of course, they exceeded a bit the expectations, which is a great thing to do. And especially when injuries hit us, or we had a little valley, which is normal once in a while. Some of the guys which were not necessarily the most well-known and star players, they got the boat back on track. And so I think that's the most important thing what I saw so far. We have, of course, leaders on and off the field, but they do not behave like superstars. They behave like great team members and great leaders. I think that's the difference so far. What I saw within any other team I worked for, any other team I played for, like the chemistry between the players in the changing room is the best I've seen so far in my whole career.
Ben?
Luke, you talked about that chemistry. What role has Bradley played in that, and how have you seen him in his debut as the coach help get the team out of those lulls, whether it's injury based or just not playing the way that you wanted to?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the coaching staff, especially Bradley, who leads the coaching staff, plays a massive role in the chemistry, because you have to keep your changing room and the players happy. That's very important. And it's not always the easiest thing to keep players who are not playing that many minutes still being that happy. We are definitely a happy team, so that worked out very well so far. I think the playing style, the philosophy helps us there a lot, because it's really working for each other, pushing, and the collective, the unit is the most important thing. And the way we train, there is lots of fun, there is lots of enjoyment. You see that the players are hungry, the players enjoying every minute out there. And of course, the coaching staff plays a big role there. The ownership plays a big role there. Carolyn comes to our changing room after the games, other members of the Taylor family coming in there, and that's always a highlight for the players, because they know they feel appreciated. And that's the same thing with Bradley. Bradley makes sure that the players do feel appreciated and they know exactly their role in the team. And that is what worked out very well so far. So, I mean, Bradley being in his first official role as a head coach, I think he gained enough experience in Red Bull as an interim head coach, where he proved to myself that he is a very, very good coach who can do that job without any limitations whatsoever. And so far, again, I don't think anybody out there can complain much about our coaching style, our results, and the way the team is run.
Lutz, in talking about the style that this organization runs, would it be a potential drawback to bring somebody in from the outside sort of cold and not completely acclimated to the way you guys want to play?
If I do a bad job, then yes. So if we sign a guy which is a great player but doesn't fit into our ways, then it's a terrible decision. But that's the one I have to take, and the one I would have to also take responsibility for. So our market is very clear, and I remember that when I said that the people were raising their eyebrows a little bit. We not always necessarily look for the best footballer in that position. We look for the guy who fits the best to our style, and can actually play his position after our philosophy. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I mean, we do scout a lot, we analyze a lot, we're looking from the USL into the MLS, over every league in the world. Where do we find players which have a great data after our style, but where most important, they have the best personalities? Because data alone is what tells everything happens on the field, which is you can measure. I can't measure the character or I would call it the drive, the heart of a player, just looking at him on the field, looking at numbers. So I need to do a lot of work behind the scenes and talk to a mother, talk to a brother, talk to a friend, talk to a coach, talk to the German Shepherd he has in the backyard to figure out actually who is this guy and does he fit to us. And that was so far, I think, our secret sauce, that the guys who came here, they love to be here, they love to be in the team, they really bought into this idea, who we are, how we want to play, what is our values. And that's exactly what we will going to do in the future. So character and level of play, personality off the field and on the field, that all in combination is how we still will choose our players.
Justin?
Lutz, is there a specific area of the pitch that you're looking to strengthen if it's available during this transfer window, or is it just whatever player that you feel like is going to fit the team best at the moment?
You mean particular on positions based? Yeah, I mean, there's always positions you're looking at, and there is always moments, but that changes, to be honest, Justin, that changes every week. You're watching a game and you see something here and you see something there, and then it's important to keep calm and to not just make an emotional decision based on one or two games. We need to make decisions where we benefit in the future, and we have 6 months left in the old season, but there is a lot of football to be played in St. Louis in the coming years. So if we really bring somebody, that needs to be a person or a player which fits our style in the future and makes us strategically better.
Daniel?
Lutz, at the beginning of the season, you talked a lot about the future. At the beginning of the season, your expectations were to continue to build this team and this culture. You're sticking by that right now, but sitting in first place in the standings, has your mind shift changed at all, and that this team could potentially go and win a championship this year, and you need to make decisions that reflect that pursuit?
No, I'm just excited to see where we stand, but I'm also very, very aware, looking at the table, that we are 6 points away from 9th place. So I think we can be very happy how we performed so far, but we need to be aware. In the end of the day, fact is we are an expansion team, and the fact is that we had our little dry spells. We might have some more. So it's just really to focus on that, what we can do, and focus on our performances, staying within our culture, and I think we will get rewarded for it in the end of the day. But it would be poison. I think it would be toxic to have that big mind switch and say, now we're changing everything we planned for over a period of 3 years now, just because we're getting blindsided by looking at a table at one moment of a season. So we need to keep on focusing, we need to keep on playing our game, we need to pick up points, then we will get rewarded. We will reward ourselves. It's up to us, to nobody else. So in the end of the day, we stick to our exact goals, we stick to our exact ideas, and definitely we stick to our culture.
Next we'll go to John Lupo.
Lutz, with the combination of some veteran players who brought a tremendous amount of experience and some young players who really performed well, I think I heard mentioned before about the balance and the chemistry that this team has. Do you think that's one of the more important factors in deciding when to bring in a player? And also, as you said, it might not be just about the talent, but would you consider bringing in a player that may be, I don't want to say less talented, but not at the top echelon of the league, if it fits your system better, because you guys obviously have a great thing going?
Yeah. I mean, John, you just said it perfectly. It's not always about that, where you think a player might have a bit of a better CV, he might have a bit of a better past, or he might be right now in a better form. I think we're looking at lots of different values, what fits to us, and we made lots of these decisions. Was there a better player than player X on the market last winter? Definitely there was, but we went for our player because we believed in what he does on the field and that he fits into our philosophy. And I think it all has to do with a certain belief, trust, and patience. Trust the process and be patient about it, because if we start to shift from left to right to the center, back and forth, and keep on changing what we're doing, then we will make the same mistakes like hundreds of thousands other professional teams making all over the world. So we have a clear pathway, we have a clear idea, and we followed it through. And sometimes you get slapped in the face and it's painful, but then get up, get back on your feet, believe in what you do, we pull ourselves up and we keep on going. And I think that was so far one of the biggest things I've seen this season, that whenever you think we are done, and lots of people saw us actually done on Saturday in San Jose. Oh, they lost 2 games in a row. Oh, now they're playing with lots of players supposed to be from second string. Yeah, right. I think everybody stepped up and showed exactly what he can do. The players on the bench, nobody made a face because they didn't play. Everybody supported each other. And all the guys who came on, they played a hell of a game. And we are right now back where we were a few weeks ago. So trust what we do and we will be okay.
We've got time for one more. We'll wrap up with Tom.
Like you've said in the past, the summer window is when the best players are available, is the time. So with that in mind, would it be tough not to make a move, not to get someone, because this is when the most players are out there?
See, Tom really listened to me in detail the last 2 years. So yeah, I mean, there is definitely lots of good fish in the sea at the moment. But then again, you normally act when you have to act, And as I said, we're looking. There's good players out there, and if we find the right guy, then it's an interesting thing. What we obviously considering. Maybe sooner or later, you will be a happy man again because you can write about a transfer. But we will figure that out in the next few weeks.
Lutz, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Coach, Lutz was just talking about the chemistry on this squad. In all your times as a player and as a coach, where does this team rank in terms of chemistry?
Yeah, I would say it comes close to a team I played with in Karlsruhe. You know, I spent 4.5 years there from, I would say, 2005 to 2009-ish, close to 2010, with a team who grew collectively together over time. Over time in Europe, if you do well, you get promoted. We were in the Bundesliga 2 at that time, and over the course of 2-3 years, we were able to get, win Bundesliga 2, get bumped up into the first Bundesliga, promoted, and have great experiences there as a group. I would say this ranks very close, if not better, right? I think it's two different buckets. One, as a coach, you look at it slightly differently, right? Because now you're trying to see and manage the chemistry. As a player, you're just trying to, be part of something bigger than yourself. So, yeah, that's the message to the players every single day here.
Tom?
Your second crack at Colorado, what do you remember from the first game? What stands out, and what do you do?
What stood out, we got stretched by, long balls, diagonal play. We know they're number 1 or number 2 in the league with big switches of play, and these are all things we know now and the things we knew going into that game. So, we've come a long way since that game, I felt. We've grown as a group in many ways. Many new faces pushing hard for game time. So, we have almost a revived energy and a good group chemistry in the squad. So, excited for this game because we know we go on a tough 2-game away stretch, and we want to not just talk about City Park being another weapon for us, the 12th man, added incentive for the fans and what the fans bring us. We have to actually go out and do something as well as. We know they hurt us in that first half, in Colorado. So Roman came up massive in that day, as he has so often. But that day stands out, where he helped us one of the most.
Bradley, you mentioned going from being a part of a good chemistry to trying to manage it. Having the right guys is obviously a part of that. But how have you tried to cultivate what we're seeing here with this kind of next man up mentality that's been helping you guys out despite losing some key players for a significant period of time?
It's just being open, right? I think it's just being open and getting the group to be aligned. And, sometimes it's easy to tell a player and on the surface of being part of a good team and what it takes, ownership, accountability, leadership, and all that good stuff. But what does it do after 15 match days and I have not made an appearance? Like a Josh Yarrow. How do you manage him? How does he respond to those, negative moments in his career? Or how does he, coach, I don't really get a sniff here. But how do you, we have him talk in the locker room before games. We have him part of the leadership group, so there's many other guys in many other ways that you can keep players going along in the right direction. Then you have the younger group now who needs to, pick up minutes with City too and put out their sort of, always talk about business cards, right? Show me your business card. Sell yourself to us as the coaches and see what you got on game day, whether it's for City 2 or whether it's for us, right? So with us, obviously the stakes are really high and the lights are on and we're all watching, right? So we're just trying to prep the guys to get to those moments when everyone's watching. So yeah, credit to the group. They're open, they're receptive to sometimes brutal, honest, hard messages. And yeah, that's who I am. Sometimes I'm a little bit blunt in my ways of speaking. I'm very direct, but by no means disrespectful or hurtful. It's just how I was up. I can't tell you how rosy the park is at Forest Park and how beautiful things are and don't walk, So I'm always just very direct. And I think that's what the players like, whether it's good or bad messages.
Coach, what's it mean to you personally to have 2 of your top dogs as all-stars?
Yeah, good. And massive moments in their careers, right? So Roman comes off a stretch not playing for many months, 11, 12 months at Dortmund, and then we get him here early for 6 months. And so it's almost a 2-year stretch where he hasn't get game rhythm, right? So just now that we've given him a platform to show the rest of the world, the rest of the Bundesliga, the rest of whoever's looking, what he can still offer, right? And we're the benefactors of that. Tim Parker, always known what he has been able to do. And then obviously, in Houston, didn't go quite his way. I know he enjoyed it there, but just, sporting perspective-wise, didn't go his way. And we were able to provide him a platform, maybe a philosophy, maybe a style of play that suits him and gets back to old ways. So, just Tim, I knew we could get him back, into the form that we value and need as a player, as a leader. And Roman is just to give him a platform, to showcase his talent.
Coach, Sam Adeniran had obviously a spectacular debut for City with a re-debut with 2 goals. How do you see him fitting in with a guy like Nico Gioacchini? Do you see Sam as more of a lone striker, or how do you see them playing together?
Yeah, I think multiple ways. I mean, we saw different weapons from Sam. We saw him out wide, running the line. I think he sets up Miggy Perez for a great, individual moment down the left-hand side, playing almost like a winger, right? So he can play the left 10, he can play the lone striker, and Joa, Joa could go back to a role where he floats underneath, right? So just similar to how Klaus and Gioacchini were working prior to. We also were very successful in the 2-2-2, with Joa and Klaus next to each other, right? So I think there's many ways because they possess different tools from each other, right? So it's not just 2 strikers, same build, same mentality, same vision of goal and creativity. I think there's 2 different weapons that we have at our disposal there, and we look to utilize those wisely.
Coach Roman Berkey obviously doesn't need a lot of motivation, but not getting the clean sheet in Colorado after he came up so big for most of the game. Is he a little bit extra motivated this week
for this game? No,
this game especially?
Roman's very even-keeled. Roman doesn't get too high or too low and, too intimidated, right? So it's just another game and another 3 points on the board, and we know how valuable these 3 points are. And we know, first of all, the last game didn't go our way totally. We took a point there. We could have won it, against all odds and against the run of play. But, we have a couple of, wrongs to right there from that game. And I said those games were months ago, right? So now we're totally different mentality, totally different mindset. We've been consistent, even although, we have a stretch of games where it might not go our way. But in the bigger, larger picture, we've been consistent collecting points. And that's all I can ever ask from my group.
Coach, I asked Lutz a similar question. At the start of the season, both you and Lutz agreed that this team just needs to develop. Those are the expectations, but I did ask all the players, and each of them told me they wanted to make the playoffs at least. Now sitting top of the table, do you start thinking that this team could potentially go and compete for a championship? And how do you, managing both the players and a guy like Lutz, battle that?
Listen, it's easy as a player, and it's also naive as a player who doesn't know the league really, can come in and say, hey, yeah, we've had a good preseason, let's make the playoffs. It's very easy not knowing what it's going to be like arriving on red-eye flights from Seattle at 6:30 a.m. in the morning and then turning back around to then play a Wednesday game or what we're going to face now next week at Toronto and LAFC. So, it's very easy talking about those things beforehand and managing it now through the season. But yes, competitive we wanted to be, and I think the squad has shown it. We've seen and shown a hunger and a desire to obviously play with a chip on our shoulders, prove people wrong. I don't know how much more wrong we can prove, sitting where we are on match day 20, but it's tight. Look at the Western Conference. You have a 3-game stretch one way or the other, and you can seal your destiny whichever way, right? So negative or positive. So again, we're just looking at the next 3 points and making sure we can try and create that separation from us to the number 9th spot, basically. And if we're at match day 34 and we're above the line, what a massive feat for us. What a massive season, right?
Santi.
Bradley, with Colorado being in last place and not going through a good stretch right now, does that put extra pressure on you guys to win this game?
Yeah, listen, we don't look at the table. We look at the table in ways we want to look at the table, and to look at it as an opponent with only 14 points or whatever they have, I'm not sure what they have, and last place, that bears no value for me. Totally no value. I mean, LA Galaxy, number 1 chances, in the whole league created, and they were second last when they came to City Park. So I don't value that, and I don't look at it like that. And sometimes you have a team who plays in a certain style that your way does not agree with, and vice versa. Sometimes you just receive an opponent and everything works for you because their style of play, speaks to your style of play in an advantageous way. So I don't really look into that too much just because of league tables. Life would be too easy if it was that easy.
Coach, your midfield has kind of gone through some iterations as personnel has come and gone from injuries and whatnot, and it seems like lately it's been a diamond formation in the midfield that you've kind of enjoyed seeing and running out there and been successful with, especially this past weekend. Do you see that as a way to mitigate the way Colorado can stretch you out, or how do you plan on leveraging your midfield going forward?
Yeah, usually a diamond is a way to, suffer against big switches, right? So, we'll look at all these things, and the diamond has helped us in many a game, I think I told Lutz in our first 3 weeks of preseason, I said the personnel we have, I've never tinkered with a diamond as a coach, so it's never been, you know, would I want to do that on match day one, be somebody totally who I'm not, right? So we've been building principles, and within any style of principles, and you get those right, now you can start now forging relationships within a formational structure, right? And I've liked what I've seen from the diamond. I've liked what I've seen out of all of our formations. Even the back five against Seattle in the first 60 minutes, I really liked what I saw there. So for us to find ways to be creative, combative, and sort of constructive against a very good Colorado team who have some individual threats, 1v1 dangers, you know, on the sidelines, Nicholson, Barrios. There's a couple of tricky customers to deal with, you know. So yeah, we'll have a shape and a formation ready to go.
Miguel Perez's situation, where does he stand?
Yeah, he did about 60% of the training with us today. So he was out, you know, in isolation. Then he joined us, and then he, you know, did a little bit at the end as well. He just rolled his ankle, and now it's just pain tolerance. You know, can we get him ready by game time, and can we get him, you know, either to start or off the bench? So we'll be monitoring that. We still have a little bit of time, which is good. There's many more hours of medical treatment to happen.
How have you guys been dealing with the heat? Today, probably the worst day.
Wasn't bad, actually. I mean, today we came down totally from the load. There was a nice breeze. I think it was okay. It was really good. Just
Frankly, just playing Colorado, first time playing in the altitude, just
a
what
good
are the
transition.
challenges of that?
So the altitude, I mean, I never really looked into it. I mean, as a player, as a person, growing up in South Africa, I think Colorado and South Africa are pretty much similar. So I never really valued it, and you know, I never really took it into account. And only since I've been in America have I known and seen what it can do. And obviously, you go through moments of suffering when you're playing at altitude. But then it's up to us to be wiser about, you know, to pick our moments, to choose our triggers in the right way, and you know, where's our confrontation lines, and you know, where do we think's the best spot for us to be successful, whether we're playing away from home, at home in 100-degree heat. So yeah, it's I mean, I don't put too much into it, you know.
I think I'm okay. Everyone else good? All right, Coach.
All right, thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.